I'm almost done with reading Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. I'm about 85% done, according to my Google Play reading cell phone. Um, Anne of Green Gables. So I already watched Anne with an E on Netflix about 3 times because I really liked Anne with an E on Netflix. So I thought, well, I was looking for something else like that, and I was like, well, I might as well just read the book, right? Because the book is free. The book is free if you have Google Play. You can just read it for free. It's an old book. Old books are free because they're public domain. Sometimes they charge for old books too, but uh, it's nice to get it for free. Anyways, the point, maybe if I want the physical copy, I have to pay for it. But point being is, it's a really good book. I was kind of obsessed with the TV show and with any. I thought that was like one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. Especially me now. Like when I was like a little kid, I would say like Batman the animated series or Gargoyles or like Street Sharks or something was like the best show I had seen when I was a kid, or Hey Arnold or Doug or something like that. But now as an adult, I think even though this is a young adult book, Anne with an E was my favorite book I had read. Anne with an E was my favorite TV show I've seen in recent times. It's not my favorite show, but one of my favorite shows. It might be my favorite show I've seen in recent times, but it's hard to pick and choose compare between different shows. It's one of the best though. So I decided to read the book, and the book is just it's just as good as the TV show. I I like TV shows better than books because they're easier. TV shows are easier for me to follow along. My imagination isn't really that active. My imagination's kind of weak compared to Anne of Green Gables and Shirley Cuthbert. Um, my imagination's not really that good, so I prefer the TV show to the book, and I'm really glad that Netflix made that TV show because uh, it opened up a whole new world to me. Some ways it feels awkward, watching a 16-year-old because I'm like an old man. At the same time, I think it's helpful to. Um, it doesn't really matter how old you are. I mean, the story is good for any age, even if it's a young adult. Even if it's a young adult story and the character's young adult. I mean, the author who wrote it, she was probably maybe almost my age when she was probably maybe around my age when she wrote the book. So it's not like she was a teenager when she wrote Anne of Green Gables. So she was probably young, but not that young. She's probably not a teenager when she wrote that book. Um, so it's a really good book. You should read it if you want a book about coming of age. It's probably the best coming of age book I've ever read. I mean, it was like the one of the best coming of age TV shows I've ever seen. So of course, it's like the best coming of age book I've ever read. I don't read too many books to be honest. Um, I was reading the Bible a little bit. I was reading the Bible a little bit a few weeks ago, but then I was like, let's switch from reading the Bible to reading this book because this book might be easier to read than the Bible. And yeah, I'm actually liking Anne with an E more than the Bible. I'm actually it's easier. It's easier to read than the Bible, and I think it's better, more interesting than the Bible. But I was just reading the New Testament in the Bible. I wasn't reading everything in the Old Testament. Anyways, so it is comparable to some other great books that have been written through time, even 2,000 years before. And with Anne of Green Gables was written, I think it's comparable to the Bible as far as how quality the writing is. That's just my opinion. I'm not like a huge Bible fan, anyways, because like I'm not a very good reader. I just started reading in the past few months because my eyes have slowly gotten better. I was kind of blind and now I can see because my life is kind of getting better, kind of. Because I put less stress on myself than I did like 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So I'm actually able to read more now than I used to be able to do, and I can read for fun more because I'm not worried about other things. But Anne with an E is a really good book. I'm sure I'll finish it within the next month or within the next few weeks, next month or whatever. Um, uh, what else was I gonna say? I actually started reading it. There's a problem with it. There's a problem I have with Anne with an E. I mean, I don't know they call it Anne with an E because I've seen Anne with an E TV show 3 times. It's actually called Anne of Green Gables, the book. Anne with Green, Anne, the book is called Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables or Anne from Green? It's Anne of Green Gables. Okay, that's right. So here's the thing. There's a problem with it. When I first started reading it, I started talking like her, and like everyone around me was saying how obnoxious I am that I'm talking like that. You don't actually want to talk like she talked in the beginning of the book to her new family and stuff. You don't want to be like too I already know what the word is, but too something. I'm not very good with words, but you don't want to be as peppy, I guess. Peppy is the best word I can describe as peppy as Anne. Is peppy the word I'm looking for? I think peppy is the word. As a man, it sounds weird when I talk peppy. I was talking peppy like for like a year there when I first started reading this book. I started reading this book about 2 years ago, like back in 2023. I started reading the book, and then now I'm going to finish the book now that because I had to take a break from it because let me tell you why. People around me are saying I was like really obnoxious. I was really annoying because I think I was trying to talk like Anne of Green Gables too much because I kept sounding like really peppy, and it doesn't sound good coming on me because everyone thought I was being sarcastic. Like when I talk peppy, it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, so it doesn't sound good when it comes from me because I've always been pretty sarcastic. I've always watched Family Guy and The Simpsons and all those sarcastic TV shows. But anyways, so it didn't sound good coming from me. How peppy I was sounding, and because it made me sound sarcastic, because I was like, oh, today's really beautiful. Oh yeah, today's really beautiful. And my family was like, why are you saying today's really beautiful? Like, I was just trying to sound like Anne of Green Gables, but I wanted to be more like her. But so I stopped reading it for about a year or two. I think it's about 2 years I stopped reading it for. So I just calmed myself down a little bit. I was having kind of a mental breakdown last time I was reading it anyways. I got fired from my job and stuff. Or not fired, but I left my job and stuff. Anyway, that's a whole other story. But Anne of Green Gables, she it's a really interesting story. It's a coming of age story, and she's an adopted. She's an adopted. I'm not going to spoil it, but she's an adopted orphan. That's what they used to call. They used to have orphans back then. Isn't it amazing how much the world has gotten better? We used to have orphans. That's why people who say like Anne with an E isn't as good as the other adaptations of Anne of Green Gables. I disagree with them because Anna with an E is darker than other adaptations. I like it darker because the whole idea of an orphan is such a sad idea. Like they don't have orphans anymore. All they have is adopted children anymore. Now you have with the homes you go to. Forgot what they're called. But they're not orphans. They're not. There's no such thing as an orphanage. They're called an orphanage asylum in the book. She was staying in an asylum. That's crazy. Like that's how much worse the world used to be. There used to be asylums for kids who didn't have parents. But that's how the world is getting better, and it's important to remember that Anne sees the world through the dark eyes of growing up in an orphanage asylum, and she makes the best of everything. So when she gets a family, she does really well when she gets adopted because she starts doing really well in school. She's a really positive person because because she was in a really bad experience and then she went to a very good experience. Her family loves her, and you know, so she started to make a really turn a really bad thing into a really good thing when she got to change her experience. It's sort of like adopting like a pet, like a dog or something or a cat. They go from really in a rough place to be in a really good place when you adopt them from like the Humane Society or foster care. That's what they call um, uh, kids before they get adopted. They go to foster care, but like pets are sort of the same way. Like they, when you adopt them, like they start to come out more, come out of the closet, and they start to be more themselves. Um, and they have freedom to move around, and so then they become a more positive person uh, when pets get adopted. But when people are the same way, when people get adopted, I think they become more warm, positive people. But Anthony, it was really dark back then. That was 100 and what was it? 130 years ago. I think it takes place like 130 years ago. The world was very different back then. The world was very different back then. Plus, like Canada is kind of poorer than the United States. To be honest, Canada has always been poorer than the United States. So it's kind of like I think the United States got rid of the orphanages before the Canada did. I'm guessing because America's the richest country in the world. But anyways, um, but then again, they had the little orphan Annie in the 1930s. It was Daddy Warbucks, and so they've had orphans through the 1930s. They had orphans 130 years ago, but at some point, I think with churches and stuff, churches played a big role in getting everyone adopted. Now, pretty much everyone gets adopted at some point in time, no matter how messed up you are. I'm not talking to adopted kids here. I'm not calling you messed up. No matter how messed up they are, they all can get adopted. I know this one girl. I'm saying I know this one girl who got adopted. She was really wild, really a wild child, um, and she got adopted because everyone gets adopted in today's world. Because today's world, we're making progress for a brighter future, and that's why I think of Anne with an E or Anne of Green Gables, because she's building a brighter future for herself, and the world is becoming a brighter future along with her. And so she's like the theme song of Anne with an E is she's ahead by a century. She's ahead by a century. And I do think she's ahead by a century, and that's you kind of have to move as quick as she does to keep up with her, and you want to keep up with people like that who are very progressive, with how much they want to change the world for the better. And I do really like that a lot. I mean, there's a place for Christianity. There's a place for conservatism. There's a place for living old-fashioned styles. I'm not telling people to get rid of old-fashioned ways of living. I love conservatism too, but I mean, I'm just saying that progressivism is a better idea than conservatism, generally speaking. Generally speaking, you want to be as progressive as possible. That's why I'm talking in front of a YouTube camera instead of talking to myself or whatever, because it's the progressive thing is to share my ideas with the world instead of keeping them to myself, rather than you want to share your beliefs and your concepts with everyone you can, and don't be closed-minded, and don't that's why I'm sharing this on YouTube, because that's a progressive idea, is sharing ideas with the general public, no matter if they might laugh at you or think you're weird or whatever. I'm sure they'll only give me positive remarks. Most of my comments are only positive, so I don't worry about the comments or whatever. But is there anything else I could say with Anne with Green Gables? So again, I like the TV show more than the book, because Anne with an E on Netflix, because I like to be shown what to think. It's actually way easier for me to read this book once I've seen the TV show. I've seen the storyline happen like 3 times, and I've watched the show 3 times. Too bad it ended after the 3rd season. I really wish it got renewed. But anyways, it's too bad. I'm so glad they made it, though. I'm glad they made something like that. Take a risk, something a classic piece of literature. I am so glad I saw the TV show before I saw the book, because it allows, because I can actually understand what I'm reading. When I read a book, I can't, I'm like completely blind as to what the setting looks like, what the characters look like, what how they're acting, what's the purpose behind their motivations. I really like seeing the uh, the TV show before seeing the book, because it makes me understand everything about the story, and now I can just enjoy the writing, because the writing is really good. Lucy Maud Montgomery has a very good vocabulary, and gives Anne Shirley Cuthbert a very good vocabulary, and uh, the writing is really good, and that's what I want to enjoy about this story, is the writing, because it's actually really hard to find good writing like this book is. Most writing is not as good as Anne of Green Gables. You're not going to find that anywhere else. I mean, you will find other stories as good as that, but you're gonna have to look hard. I grew up, reading like Goosebumps and stuff when I was a kid. Harry Potter when I was a kid. And those are good stories too, but I wanted something a little more mature than that, a little more mature than Goosebumps, Harry Potter. Excuse me. So um, I'm really glad I found this story. The writing is so good, and I just wanted to share it with people on YouTube. This is one of the purposes of YouTube, is to share. BookTube is to want to share good stories with the world. You should read Anne of Green Gables. Whether you're a man or woman, boy or girl, you should read the book, because it is a very positive story. You're going to feel better after you read it. I recommend, if you're a little slow like I am, you should probably watch the TV show before you read the book. If you if you have a huge imagination, you should probably read the book first. Like my sister always says, she likes reading the book first because she has a huge imagination. I don't have a huge imagination. I see things better on a screen than I do in the book. But anyways, I don't think it's quite as good as the TV show, but I already reviewed the TV show like 5 years ago on this channel. But um, I was looking for something like the TV show, and the best thing I could find that like the TV show is the book. So I'm really glad I'm reading it. I'm almost done with it, and I plan on reading the sequels to this book once I'm done reading this book. I hope the sequels are as good as this book. I hope the sequels are as good as the original. That'd be really nice if I had a good book series to read, and maybe they're all free. Maybe they're all public domains. So I don't have to pay anything for them. I don't know. I'm not sure if they're all free. I know the first one's free. Um, I really like. Um, I really like the book Anne of Green Gables. Um, I think you should read it because it's about growing up. It's about coming of age, in the nicest way possible. I've heard other coming of age stories that are kind of like, it's another coming of age story. It's a coming of age story, but that's like about like a clown that like kills kids or something. You know what I mean? Like it's a it's another coming of age story, but there's so many bad coming of age stories. I don't know that it's bad, but I'm not really as into it as other people are. Like I thought it was. I liked the beginning of it, but I couldn't I couldn't really watch the whole miniseries or whatever it was. I couldn't really watch the movie. I like the idea of looking at a clown like that, but I can't actually watch the whole thing because it's too dark for me. I don't like horror stories like that. I know Halloween's coming up, but this is a good time to watch. This is a good time to read Anne with an E. It's the fall season, the fall with the leaves coming down. Actually, I gotta blow the leaves off my porch, I think, pretty soon. Anyways, um, so yeah, you should read it. This is the perfect time of year to read it because it's the fall season. It's great weather. The weather's cooling off, so especially if you live in the south, it's not quite as hot as it was like a few months ago, even 1 month ago. It's not quite as hot as it was 1 month ago, in the summer or whatever. So um, I think Anne of Green Gables is a great story. It's a timeless tale. It's a classic story. You know, you're gonna be rooting for Anne the whole way through, rooting for Gilbert Blythe to do well as well. Like I kind of see myself as like a Gilbert Blythe wannabe. You know, I'm not as smart. I'm not smart like Gilbert Blythe. And I think he wants to be a doctor, but um, I think that I think that he's a very interesting character in how Anne competes with Gilbert Blythe on the school uh, grades, see who can get the best grades and test scores and stuff. And it's a really fun looking back at school like that because I never liked school when I was a kid. I wish I did, but I was never very good at it. I always like watching TV better than going to school. I always like playing video games better than going to school. But this story makes me think of like, oh, maybe going to school can be fun if you turn it into a game. If you actually read the math material, or maybe I've been studying math in my free time a little bit too because of this. I'm studying science a little bit in my free time, like the TikTok math and science classes. Really interesting videos they have there on TikTok for math and science. So Anne of Green Gables makes me want to study more math and science, and wants me to read the book more and just learn more in general. I really think Anne's a very attractive character. That she wants to learn everything she can. She wants to learn everything she can. I wasn't like that when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I just wanted to like lie in my bed and play video games all day. I didn't want to learn everything I could when I was a kid. That's kind of like the opposite of what I was when I was a kid. Was an eager learner. I was never an eager learner when I was in school. I learned because I had to be. I had to do that just to not have truancy charges against me by the police. I mean, I had to graduate from high school. I I almost graduated from college, but not quite. But I had to go to school to at least try to get an education. But anyway, I did get an education, pretty good education, but not like I didn't graduate from college or whatever. But it makes Anne of Green Gables makes you want to graduate from college, makes you want to study things, makes you want to learn how to be a better person, understand how the world works, understand science, math, reading, understand everything better because it's such a warm, engaging book. So I gave Anne of Green Gables 2 thumbs up, and I'm going to end this video now. I don't think I have anything else to say. You should definitely read it if you have free time. It's free on Google Play. I think in the Google Store, Anne of Green Gables is free. There's some paid versions, but just go to the free version. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.